Well, whether it's distracting paparazzi or taking the private jet to the candy store, a day in the life of a celebrity super nanny, I don't think that actually happens, but we'll ask her, is anything but ordinary. They are some of the few people with an exclusive inside look into the world's elite.
But it takes more than just a spoonful of sugar to take care of these famous tots, and one person who knows this all too well, celebrity super duper nanny Philippa Christian. Good morning, and she joins us live in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Larry and Carly.
Welcome.
Hi, Philippa.
Thank you for having me.
How do you get into this elite nanny circle? Because we're done by 11:30 every day. You like super yachts and jets and stuff?
Well, I actually started babysitting at the age of 11, so very young. I've got a lot of younger siblings as well, and there were a few celebrities in my neighbourhood that I started working for. That went on to work in sort of Crown Towers and work for a lot of celebrities who would be flown in, and then they would fly me home with them, and I worked for a lot of American celebrities overseas. I sort of networked with a lot of celebrity nannies over there, and because I was Australian, I got all of the top jobs. Australian nannies worldwide are sort of known as being the cream of the crop, and I was employed because I looked similar to the wife, so it was easy for paparazzi stunts. I was hired by probably the biggest celebrity I know because I had the same star sign as her. Our birthdays fall very close together, so she thought that we'd have a lot of similarities. When I sort of
nothing to do with your ability to look after the kids.
Nothing to do with St John's ambulance training. No, you are a Virgo.
That's right.
Well, that all comes, of course, first. But yeah, so and then I sort of worked for a lot of royalty overseas in Arabic countries because I had blue eyes and blonde hair. I got a lot of jobs for that reason. There's just so many crazy reasons as to why you get hired. Sometimes it just is luck, I think, being in the right place at the right time.
See, I want names. I want names. Who have you worked for?
I can't really name anyone now because of this book that I've had, Nanny Confidential, and the book is now being turned into a film, so I've got to be extremely careful, but I still speak to a lot of my employers. I still speak to the children that I cared for, and I just don't want to risk anything like that. I think that when you're a nanny, the best interests of the children always come first, and of course it's quite easy to name a lot of people I've worked for and to make a lot of money that way, but I would just never do that.
But you write a book?
Yeah, so the book is the book is Nanny Confidential, hence the word Nanny Confidential. So no one is named. The careers are sort of moved around, the number of children, where they live. It's all been looked over by lawyers. As a joke, I was going to use the name Sunday or Apple, but we had to change those. So yeah, so it is confidential, really.
So you can't tell us any names. So just say yes or no. Demi Moore. Any Gyllenhaals? Who are the other guys?
Brad and Angelina. They're the
Kardashians?
Like, in the book, does it become like Rod and Jangelina? Like, no?
A lot of entertainment lawyers and all other types of lawyers have had to look over the book before it went to print.
Wow.
And so yes, there's
because such a litigious society over there, clearly, and confidentiality is key. You've signed massive confidentiality agreements that your lifetime and beyond. So if you tell your children who tell your grandchildren,
I'm in big trouble.
Then you're in big trouble.
What about some of the story? Okay, we can't name names, but tell us some of the things
from Rod and Changelina.
That we would find fascinating about the days of what you had to do.
Every day is crazy. I mean, you are being chased by paparazzi, you are getting threats of people wanting to take the children, which can be quite frightening a lot of the time. But a lot of funny things happen too. I mean, I remember one night I was ready to go to sleep and I put the children to sleep, and my employers were having a huge white party, which is quite popular in Los Angeles to have a white party where everyone turns up in white and all the decor is white.
Just saying, yeah, we're in Los Angeles, that narrows it down.
They're quite popular, but one of the entertainers cancelled at the last minute. They couldn't get their flight back from Las Vegas in time, and so I had to do something. One of the staff members came up and asked me to do something, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't tell jokes, I can't do many other things, what am I going to do? And so I thought, who can I impersonate? And the only two people I could think of that I knew all the words to was Britney Spears or Dolly Parton, and the child played basketball, thank goodness, so I went with the Dolly Parton option. But other funny things happened. I had to spray tan my boss a lot of the time before he would go on television. And
before he would go on?
Yeah, it was a male.
That's narrowing it down. We're in Hollywood, spray tan men.
I remember one night...
How is George Hamilton?
I remember one night I was spray tanning him, and I did one layer and he said, oh, I need another layer, and I said, look, I promise you I know this stuff like anyone else does. It gets darker, it gradually gets darker, and he said, no, please give me another layer, and so I did as he said, and then he asked for another one. Anyway, it was an 8-hour tan, and it washed off after the 8 hours, and he went off to the event, and all was fine. And then the next morning, he sort of sleeps in most mornings. I dropped the children to school, and as I was walking through the gates of the property, I noticed that the paper boy had thrown the newspaper onto the lawn over the gate. So I walked over, which is what I usually had to do, and unwrap the paper to put on the breakfast bar for him. And here on the front of the newspaper is his face, a giant picture of his face, calling him a tandoori chicken. So I had to get rid of that newspaper as fast as I could.
Yeah.
We will be able to find that. We said in the intro, jets to the candy store and stuff like that, but that aside, you're talking super yachts and jets and holiday islands in the Bahamas and stuff, aren't you?
Yes.
Like
yeah.
That's sort of excessive.
Oh, a lifestyle that you could never afford for yourself. And even if you go to these places, you can't live in palaces, you can't get access to these exclusive gated communities. You can really only do it by working for these people. So it's been a lot of fun.
Beautiful.
There's a lot of great stories to tell.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey has openly spoken about firing nannies regularly. Let's take a look at what Mariah had to say.
Unfortunately, I have to have nannies, but I'm very hands-on. I fire nannies like this, and I hate doing it, but I have to, because if they try to make themselves more important in the baby's minds than me.
Oh, so that's a balancing act, isn't it? How tough is it to walk that line?
Oh, look, it's very tough, because the last thing you want is for the child to choose you over the parent, but you are employed by these people to be there 7 days a week, on call 24 hours a day, and the parents aren't there a lot of the time. So, you know, you've been flown, we've all been flown actually from all over the world to work for these people, for the fact as well that we don't have our friends around to hang out with. We can't have a boyfriend, we've got curfews. It doesn't bother us to spend all of our time with these children. It is upsetting, and a lot of people ask, do you go into these jobs and sort of put a wall up and try and not get close to these children, because you know the day is going to come where they're going to grow up, or your visa's going to be, you know, out of date, and you're going to have to go. And it's very hard, because you just take one little look at them and you just fall in love with them instantly. But the thing is, I think if I were to work like that, I wouldn't be doing my job properly, and I'd sort of be putting my interests before the child. I think all children need as many people as they can to really love them.
But it makes sense that those kids are getting so close to you when dad and mum are out at parties each night and then sleeping in while you're taking the kids to school after breakfast and stuff. It makes sense that you form such a close bond. Movie coming out, book's out, going great guns, movie on the back of the book. It's all going on for you. Congratulations.
Never in a million years would I've ever thought this would have happened. And starting work, you know, at the age of 11 for $5.50 an hour, I would never have gone looking for this. If I was looking for these things to happen, we're looking for these things to happen, I certainly wouldn't have started as a baby.
It's a great story. Thanks for joining.
I could listen to these stories all day. All day. For more stories from Philippa, she'll be appearing at Melbourne's Essential Baby and Toddler Show. All the details are on our website.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.